literally no one will be able to do anything against it. So we're starting into game number 1 here. That's interesting. Milio's really cool. Ooh, okay. So No-Go does at least get a little bit of the tech, because the first thing you're supposed to do on this is you're supposed to go lethal tempo. So that's a positive thing.
So they changed quite a few things about Azir, right? So they changed some of his attack speed scaling. They did two very confusing things to me, because on the one hand, they took away the attack speed buff you generate from W's and from W spamming. So you had 2 attack speed buffs, one from just leveling up W, and then also if you had 3 soldiers, you got that buff doubled. But so they took that attack speed away, and instead of that, they actually gave him base attack speed scaling, which means he scales better now with attack speed, but does not get the natural attack speed of his kit. So actually, you have to invest into attack speed to get to the same kind of attack speed numbers, but in theory, you should be able to get even higher attack speed if you were to build something like attack speed boots, if you think about historical Azir builds, or even the Nashor's Tooth. So yeah, very interested to see where this Azir goes.
I'm of the opinion personally that even if you're building attack speed, you're losing out on a decent amount other things at the beginning of the game. So it used to be that you could build poke and then you would still have some decent attack speed if you get your triple soldier scaling and all of that sort of stuff. And so where I've landed in all this is that while Azir is likely to be buffed and probably will get better over time, the only way you can currently play Azir is to go Hail of Blades, because you can still build a bunch of poke. You can go into Nashor's if you absolutely want to, but you got so much more base damage from just having AP compared to anything else that with Hail of Blades, you have a legitimate chance of blowing somebody up with the current scalings if you were to go Ludens and Rabadons and some of that extra stuff that you had before. That's my opinion. I think that's the only way to play Azir right now, instead of trying for this weird Nashor's build, because that weird Nashor's build, yes, you get better damage than what you would have had, but it just, to me, still doesn't feel like it's where Azir should have landed. That's how I see it.
That's also so sad to me, because I used to be when Azir was announced back in 2014, I looked at that kit and was so hyped because it sounded to me like the coolest kit of all time. I was so interested in this champion. Even though I never play mid lane, I despise mid lane. I actually learned Azir and was decent on the old Azir, and he was that late game fantasy, ultra ranged, very weak early game, attack speed, hyper carry with AP. Just everything about him was fascinating. Then they dumped him down more and more. The longer the game went on, Azir got more and more stupid. They shortened his range, they gave him burst damage, they gave him a shield, they gave him all-in power. He's losing his identity. And I hope this change would put him back into that defensive hyper carry where you just use soldiers to attack for ages.
Ooh. Okay. Hanging out here because Punt. Actually, it was a good ward by Punt because he's gonna be able to spot Tomrio. Tomrio just gets a nice Q and that's about it. So nothing crazy right there. Yeah, I too had this weird power fan. So when I first started this game, I started right when Echo came out, and the 2 champions I latched on to immediately were Azir and Bard, which were 2 insanely hard to play champions for somebody just starting League of Legends. And I had to learn those 2 basically from the get-go, which was more. It was some of the most fun I had in this game was learning those 2 champions from start to finish, basically before level 30, before I could even play ranked. So. Eventually, I fell into Varus, and that was my go-to ranked champion before anybody else. But the Azir was rank 5 before a lot. Bard was rank 5 before anything else. Still my highest rated mastery champion to this day. I have been interested in watching this game because Artemis has started doing a little bit better. Was down a little bit on the first couple of waves to the culmination of the Xayah Rakan. And outside of that one gank, we haven't gotten much action. That's a nice little bubble from Huber trying to find something. Okay, well played by Artemis. He danced between Slows and Zodiac right there, and Huber was able to punish at least a little bit.
Very cool outplay there from Artemis. Of course, you do have the tools to do these outplays, but you still have to actually make it work, because if you slightly miscalculate your E dash, you might be caught in the Rakan knockup, and then Xayah can follow up with her feathers, so very nice to see that Artemis is still able to do these kind of things. He actually used his Ignite in the trade before, so... a bit aggressive. We do see quite a lot of Ignite on Lucian and Nami going in the heal, because of course the scaling on the champions goes better towards those summoner spells, right? The heal already gets augmented by the additional healing power, so it makes a lot of sense. It's still a Slow's early lead, and good flash from Yada.
Yeah, and now Dugu kind of stuck in the wrong position, although Yato could have choked the cage up a little bit more, probably pushed him into tower range or gotten something, but not going to be too harassing as Yato was able to escape a solid attempt from the Nogo Azir to push him into Tamriel. Nothing insane about that one to begin the game. I was looking across everything, so right now Kennen's doing fine. Vygar's winning in the mid lane, which I think Vygar is supposed to beat Azir anyway. So I was really curious when they went, hey, what champion should we use to beat this Vygar? Let's pick Azir. Why not? It's freshly nerfed and also already in a bad matchup Azir. Instead of anything else. Like, again, if you're gonna pick a siege mage, pick Vel'Koz. Like, just do something fun. I don't know. Like, don't mess around with the intentions here.
We do have the classic situation that happened so many times over the years when both Victor and Azir were in meta, where Azir blows Flash level 6, and then there's this opening for the next ultimate to come up for almost a secured kill. So I will have my eyes on Yato and to see how he reacts to that one. But now we have a big fight over the first dragon.
Yes, we do. See if the Smite fight's going to go the way of either one of these two junglers without a fight actually coming through. That's an engagement coming in from Zodiac. Not going to get caught by the bubble. Instead, just walk away. Here comes Yato. Yato's ghosting. He's going to be able to find that no-go with no flash because he did it earlier. Is going to get caught out. So it is going to be first blood traded over for the first dragon of the game as Vox Esports gets punished for their hubris. Well played by Yato being able to... I think he had ghost because of the unsealed spellbook coming off the TP as well. Give him a bunch of moves that he was able to catch this team with.
I don't think I've ever seen something so stupid as Vygar walking animation and Ghost. Please do that again, Yato. I know you can't, but awesome. It looked very, very funny. Yato, of course, punishing the Azir for investing his flash aggressively, which is really the opposite of what you expect, right? You expect Azir to push the enemy team, enemy mid laner out of his comfort, blowing his flash, and then the next gank is a secured kill. This has happened so many times over the years into those immobile mages where Azir gets a free kill after level 6 because, well, you only have one flash. But now the Azir probably is on the back foot, and this Vygar is actually very speedy if you look at him, invested early into movement speed. So you should be able to just walk away.
Makes some sense. Vygar loves move speed, so you can get in position for cages and such. You saw an ultimate from Artemis right there popped just to keep Slows and Zodiac on their toes a little bit there. And I was also trying to figure out, I was trying to deduce exactly why it was that we were playing like the Lucian Nami given such a bad win rate, but I forgot that every other enchanter doesn't exist in this game, and so it's the only champion that Huber can actually play. Apparently inside of the VCS, that's the thought process. In fairness, after Vin had like a 1.8% damage share after like a 40-minute game or something like that, I'm not shocked that teams are just like, yeah, no, enchanters aren't allowed to be played anymore.
I'm very sorry. Something happened in the back of my kitchen and I needed to check, but I'm very, very happy that you were able to just talk through it because of course you can.
Of course, yeah. You saw right there, Rift Herald got scooped up by Vox Esports on the top side. There was no conflict there at all. Sunmer, for a second, actually had a second of brilliance, but unfortunately is warded off. Drakthar not able to find his way into the top lane. I was talking about a second ago about why it is that that Huber's playing Nami, and we have like a Lucian Nami on the map, and I said I forgot that every other enchanter doesn't exist in the VCS, so this is the only champion you're allowed to play, especially after Vin had that 1.8% damage share. He had like 2,000 damage after a 40-minute game or something like that.
55-minute game.
55, my bad.
It was a 46 damage per minute game. And actually, Beast yesterday invested some time to see if that was the record-breaking game, but no, there was a time. Okay, this is actually a fun game to play as this game is slowed down. Which champion do you think?
Jarvan.
Of course, a support. No, which champion has managed to have multiple games below that threshold of 46 DPM in professional games?
Great question. I am not sure. I would have thought it was Jarvan because I seem to remember, but that game probably didn't go long enough that it mattered. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell. What is a champion that would do that?
Okay, I can give you a hint. It's a champion that has since been reworked and was played support only in that meta and only for a very short period of time.
That's interesting. Okay, I'm not sure. We get a bit of action. Yeah. All right. Give me the answer. Give us all the answer. I gotta know.
It's Kale. Kale supporters played a few patches and did no damage whatsoever, apparently.
I am not shocked about that in the slightest. It's been a minute since I heard Kale support.
Yeah, for good reasons, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, 100%. I was always shocked that there was never a chance that, like, the Relic Shield meta, when you had, like, the 800 damage shield, was never, like, a Kale meta in any capacity whatsoever. I'm surprised it never popped up with Senna as being a combo on the bot lane, but in fairness, Kale's just a wacky champion in general, so it needs experience, so you really can't put it in a dual lane by any capacity whatsoever.
Okay, I will finish this this little tangent off with just giving you a little bit of a tease. Oh no. The Sedge tried to dive him in the top lane. Okay, we need to focus on that. Sunma is really struggling in this lane. Somehow Pun got the solo kill on Sunma while Sunma was under his turret and didn't use his ignite. We need to see what happened there. That is very confusing to me.
Pun didn't lose health here.
I
saw that Pun's health was down to like 1/3. I'm like, okay, at least, did he try to 100 to 0 him and just like mess up or something? No, he literally was chunked already, and Sunmer just dies underneath.
He just took aggro for no reason.
I'm lost. Okay. That's not great. And Sunmer is also building Rod of Ages to start with, so I am not in a silly, goofy mood to appreciate what is going on here. Instead, I will simply be criticizing exactly what happened right there. As again, I was a lot more hyped for Sunmer coming into the split. I thought Sunmer was going to be a sleeper to potentially become like a pretty solid player. But that's not the case. Okay, all right. You know what? All right, I was wrong. Okay, I wanted to see Huber. I was wrong. Bring back Rocky, please. Okay. Mid lane, Yado did not go down. He's going to TP back to the mid lane. They're going to get 3 plates, and it is split between Tamrio and No-Go. So at least they do get something, because it has been a very rough early game here for the side of Box Esports. As usually their early games go pretty well, but they just have not been able to scrape together anything so far.
So, a very fun little interaction there that doesn't matter in the slightest, but it's still a fun little thing to talk about as a color caster. It's kind of league nerd. Druktha came in there and actually last hit the Shelly, right? So he got the last hit on the Herald that already crashed, and you think, okay, it's only 25 gold, whatever, but it actually gives you stacks towards your Legends progress. So if someone has Legends and you can give the stack over, always do that, because the 25 gold don't matter, but Yado doesn't have the Legends runes, and Druktha does. I'm not sure if it was deliberate, but it's this fun little interaction where Druktha probably gets the next stack of his attack speed or a tenacity stack, while Yada wouldn't really profit from getting the last hit there.
Yeah. I'm also, I want to throw, it's not even a small amount of critique, it's a little bit of anger towards, I think junglers are particularly uncreative with the picks that you can have. I know that like Wukong is nice for having some engage in a game like this. Yado and Pun have enough to like deal with anybody who comes diving in, and enough dive threat to legitimately be strong enough on their own without doing anything else. No-Go actually pushes directly into Rickon.
Oh, what?
And there is exactly 0 follow-up. Exactly 0 from either of these two. As Drakthar comes in for the punish, Artemis absolutely slides in on top of these two. Is not going to die either because of... Oh, I thought Huber first heal. It is not the case. It was just a W coming through. As Artemis flexes on some fools.
Yado had the heal selected in the summoner spells. I was looking at him because he was flashing forwards. I was like, what is he doing?
Flashes, not going to hit it. Okay, Huber also body blocks the Q and tries to prevent Tamrio from finding an angle with the bubble. I was criticizing Huber for the laning phase. They have not been able to punch it. That was extremely well executed from Huber right there, so I will give them that, as that was a very nice play. And again, 2 kills onto Artemis after he slides in. You gotta love when Artemis gets to play as aggressively as he wants.
Okay, but take a look at Yado flashing forward here. What?
God, it's so garbage. It's so garbage.
That was absolutely useless, but also amazing. Please go on, Yado.
Yeah, that was something else. Okay, and then the summoner kill, obviously Yado not as punished for using that one as Huber would have been in that circumstance. As it gets them a plate, it gets them 2 kills under their ADC. They do not get the dragon, which is a bit unfortunate, but they are going to get the Rift Herald, so you're going to continue to advance this gold lead a bit further ahead. Honestly, I don't want to see Drakthar run up to top lane and just pop this up there. Okay. Yado,
what happened here?
What do we do here, bud?
Yeah, he used his flash on the last play, by the way. Oh, wait.
Okay,
no, I mean, he still dies to the feather pull. Yeah. Very good stopwatch there.
All right. Well, you know what? it happens from time to time. That's perfectly fine. ADC for ADC, both of them trading Gale Force and full combos onto the opposing mid laner for something else. As that's almost going to crack mid tower, not quite. The new Rift Herald is still difficult, I think, to get the bearings of for some of these teams, and so not quite able to put enough damage in. It was 1 or 2 autos is all that's necessary for them to be able to find anything else.
So, Rebel, you have studied the new Azir more than I have, for sure.
A bit.
What exactly is the build? You said you want high burst build, right? So Crown is not really up your alley.
Crown is always fine on Azir because it's if you can break it. My problem with Crown in this game is who exactly are you denying that burst damage from? Because it should be Artemis, but then you also have to worry about Kennen. You still have to worry about Yado. You still have to worry about it. There's too many champions that have burst that can dive you. You should be worried about. So Crown doesn't give you much here. I would rather see Zhonya's, but again, Zhonya's is also rough to build because it's like, okay, then you're not getting damage out of it. Usually I would say if you're going to do what I'm saying, you should do Halo Blades and then Ludens and then like direct to Rabadons is usually what I would say. If not, you go like Shadow Flame for some extra burst, or you go like Void Staff if you're really into a pen team or something like that, but you really want high burst. You can do it with Rod of Ages too, but it is a little slower scaling. You can do Rod of Ages Seraphs if you're really crazy, and go for like an insane scaling Azir build, which is more akin to what I think you're thinking about, especially if you end up with Masters, because then that build is giving you tanky and you're getting strong, but it spikes on like 3-4 items. So it's like
forever.
You're way down the road. It's a little crazy.
Rod of Ages on Azir sounds completely disgusting to my mind because I'm used to the old Azir. Rod of Ages Azir just sounds so unbelievably grief. But okay, it's probably possible because Rod of Ages is just a very good item right now. We also have a Rod of Ages Veigar this time around. Veigar seems to be just building whatever he feels like.
Yeah.
Every game's different for Veigar.
The most common to me, and the one that I always find myself saying, hey, this is what you should be building, is Rod of Ages direct to Rabadons, and then Deadman's after a tier has been built. The tier's already been built, so Yado's going to go Seraphs.
I do not think Deadman's is something I like to hear.
No. Okay, wait, do you know the Deadman's interaction with Veigar, though?
No, wait, is there a special interaction?
You don't break Deadman's if you don't auto-attack. So you don't need Ghost if you take Deadman's and don't auto. So you do not care about anything but the movement speed on that item.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, that's why. So you said you like the Ghost. If you like that, you get permanent Ghost if you build Deadman's and do nothing else. As mid lane was traded for bot lane right there. As Box Esports, they're not down as far as I thought they were going to be at this point in the game.
They have
are
two
only
dragons,
17 minutes
actually.
in, they're down 2,500 gold. They have 2 dragons, like you said too. So it is a bit of a different game here. As wow, okay, Tamriel just loses decent chunk of his health bar. I thought he was going to try to kick or make an execute against Pump. It just doesn't have the damage for it yet.
It's the oh, never mind. What are you doing over here?
Another execute. Nice ultimate. Okay, Pun, can he get the stun? No, he cannot. Instead, we'll just go down.
I will term this the MBE challenge, where the race is just how quickly can you make MBE have objective bounties.
Yes.
And Cerberus is very unsuccessful so far. They gave them 2 dragons. They're also only 2k gold ahead, so this is going to take a while. Cerberus is really far behind in the race.
Yes, they are. Zodiac doesn't get caught. I was waiting for something right there, but there's not going to be much. The one fearful bit of this game is that there is a very fed Artemis with a rapid fire cannon and a Gale Force and a serrated Dirk already done with the Imperial Mandate on Nami. Yep. So anybody who stands against Artemis is just going to get 1 tap. And slowly they have been crippling these outer towers. Look at this. So Pun, I think, got the entire top tower. That's Yado getting the bot tower. Mid tower got cracked already. They are choking off the map pretty effectively here.
And they have 217 stacks on Yado at 19 minutes. That sounds insanely high to me. I'm not super familiar with the stack numbers, but I seem to remember some Veigars having 150 at 20 minutes, and that was praised on some broadcasts. So he is sitting on 220. That is quite a bit.
It is, yes. Again, when you're not getting pressure, but actually, they're getting run to the wrong side of the map, as Zodiac is just going to go down very, very likely. Okay, they're still sprinting away. Huber is the first one into the jungle, so Tamriel could be in a little bit of trouble. Nice little bubble. Oh, he abandoned Zodiac. What a menace.
On the other side, though,
the other side of the map, they're actually getting a bit of something. Is Yado is going to get run down slowly. That Slow's picking up. Actually, Huber gets kicked through everybody else. As Artemis has to flash over the wall, Tamriel can easily follow. That's a nice heal to actually get Artemis out of dodge. As Drakthar is the last one remaining, Tamriel flashes over the wall. Now Sunburst going to continue chasing. Q is going to get it back on top of Drakthar. Can he find another trade kill? No, he can't. As Box. What in the world is this? Your graphics gonna be ruined, yo.
Hey, that was actually a really nice collapse from Box, just because Cerberus overchased on the right side of the map, and then Box just instantly collapsed on the left side. Really good play, nice shot calling, good situational awareness, all the things we kind of don't associate with Box, so it's always good to see some growth. But take another look at this collapse. Drugthug comes in, and I think this is a good play from Cerberus, but look at the other side of the map, where Yado, what is Yado doing? What are Pun and Yado doing? Just, they are completely overextending into unknown territory. And of course, there's an Azir. This is just pure disrespect from the side of Cerberus, and of course, this tends to happen against MBE because people after 16 losses in a row, they don't really get that much respect from the other teams. A lot of teams play their substitutes and stuff, but yeah, at least they're finally able to punish some of those oversteps. And we are actually on Soul Point now, so this is getting closer than a lot of other games for MBE. This could be the one, Rebel.
It's not... I don't know. It's strange because I think Cerberus still has this insane team fight to be able to manage, but not being able to access it until this point in the game is still worrying. The fact that also, after all other things, Box is still down over 1,000 gold, so about 1,500 right now, just off of CS advantages and towers that have been taken is a little bit crazy as well. Tamrio did find that onto Artemis, isn't going to be able to follow it in for anything though. Okay. Yeah, nothing crazy yet. There's still a bit of scaling behind Cerberus' composition because you still have Yado, like you said, doing some really incredible things. When Seraphs is done, when Rabadon's is done, going to be able to put out a ridiculous amount of damage. You do have to be a bit careful because Nogo has been very, very quick on pulling the trigger with this Azir to be able to make things happen.
Yeah, this game is suddenly super tense. And I would still always favor Cerberus because they are the team fighting gods, even against some other teams. This is still a game state I would favor Cerberus in, but it is closer than a lot of the other games. And now we have to really keep our eyes on Nugu, because he is starting to accelerate ahead. He's 2 items finished. He actually went for the Nash's Tooth build, so IDPS, not super high burst. Which, yeah, might come in handy if the enemy team... Look at the enemy team's champions. They are rather short-ranged, apart from the Viger. So if Artemis overextends, if Drugthug goes too far, if Pun goes too far, maybe the Azir can actually clap back with some of his high attack speed. I would like to see his stats. He's probably sitting at something like 1.3, 1.4 attack speed at this point. With just 1 attack speed item with the improved attack speed scaling. So you can really see the changes to Azir playing their part. Also, actually, Slows, ahead in CS, 2-0-2, 2 items finished on Zarya. I played some Zarya games yesterday. I'm not a good Zarya player, but this is a really strong position in the game with these 2 items finished.
Okay, just forcing down mid tower here was pretty good from the side of Vox Esports.
Really good to see.
They're able to get it down. And now, again, walking into the later stage of the game, I think you are curious, or at least I'm curious about what is Vox Esports' strategy, because you're still worrying about Kevin still has a pretty big ultimate, and you've got, I think, 1 member with magic resist at the moment, which is... Oh, you've actually got 2. You got Zodiac with a little bit, but that's still not crazy. Like, you still have a lot of bursts you have to worry about. There's still the combination with Drakthar in terms of, like, a wombo combo. You're still terrified of Artemis, who's getting closer to an infinity, actually, as a 3rd item, which is a bit awesome to kind of witness. I don't know. We're still very hesitant to say that Vox is really competitive in this game, at least until we see otherwise. But they've done a great job kind of salvaging what I thought was a more disastrous early game than it should have been, because usually they're the ones that are ahead at least a decent amount of gold to begin, or at least they have a couple more kills, something like that. But in this one, they were not in that case. Instead, they've come back with team fighting more than anything else, which is just a different avenue than we've ever really seen for Vox Esports.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting. It's actually a game where it's enjoyable to cast MBE, which has been a little bit rare over the last few weeks. We have to be honest here, because I looked at them in the first week, and I'm not sure if you felt the same, but I assume you did, because you said you don't think they're the worst team ever, even though they're 0-16. When I saw them come in the first few weeks, I was like, oh, I actually see some promise here. I see some mechanics, I see some team fighting. And yeah, they're unfortunate to not win a game, but it's going to be better. And then they slowly descended down the ranks. Maybe the other teams actually got it together, got better, and slowly we started to understand where the big problems lay with MBE. And actually, we are going to examine if they got better in this very game, because the first part is done, right? They made it to the mid-game on even footing. Now we need to see, can they actually be first to an objective? They have 3 dragons, and this is where they struggled the most so far, which is dragon setups, baron setups, being there on time. But they seem to be better, at least this time around.
Okay. That Sunmer locked in the cage. Good auto down a little bit. Thankfully, the soldier from Nugu is going to prevent Artemis from just kind of laying into Sunmer right there. One big thing I just noticed, Pun and Yato both finished Blighting Jewels just seconds ago. Like, they both finished it, which means a very mild amount of magic resist is going to get shredded by the side of Cerberus's 2 AP threats. So if those two are able to kind of link up and do damage together, it's going to be a very disastrous day for Box Esports if they're not super careful. So pay attention to the positioning of Pun and the positioning of Yato as the fight takes place. Just posturing for positioning as Cerberus doesn't want to give up this soul. Next wave is not coming in for another 10 seconds. So you have some time. Cerberus could just run for it, although Box Esports, I think, are trying to call their bluff by saying, hey, we'll just run a mid lane, we'll grab this tower if you don't. But I don't know if they've got a time for it. That seems like a bit of a false they're lying. They're putting up money they don't have right now, Yowei.
Yeah, and they're trying to go Baron for Dragon Trade, but this is taking too much time. This is one of those... I mean, it's getting lower and lower. It's true. I actually misjudged that. Yeah, they might be able to get it. But here's the engage.
Okay. That's a big engage. They're going to grab up the Baron in exchange for 1 kill to start with. Now at the fight afterwards is all that matters in the slightest. Drakthar gets kicked out. That's a huge play from Pun as the enhanced blast kill gets him directly on top of the 2 full members for Box. 2 are out. Now Drakthar goes back and TP back to make sure that there's going to be something. Yato is going to
It's double TP.
And now you're just going to chase as fast as possible as Sunmer. Oh, it's double TP. Like you said, yeah, Tomrio still trying to get out to the best of his ability. And they're chasing down 1 member at a time. That's
Artemis.
1 down already. Artemis gets a second right there. Now no Yogo. He has to do out the
damage.
Wait,
Nugu's carrying. Nugu's doing it.
Here comes Pun to try to clean things up. But then it was such a big play from Nugu to be able to deny everything. And Box Esports finds another massive play alongside the Baron to be able to take this 3 for 3.
Rebel, they're winning. Nugu is carrying on the new Azir. What is happening?
Okay. I wasn't expecting it anytime soon. Nugu able to put out enough damage on this Azir to really kind of back end this fight on the TP back in. Oh my goodness, it feels like Cerberus is chasing for so long to find these kills. They're just not able to get him quick enough to make it matter.
Cerberus, I thought it was doomed. I thought MBE overcommitted. I thought they should abandon the rest of the team to just save the 2 Baron buffs that got away. But instead, they commit to the team fight and this was the exact right choice. This was absolutely the correct call, and I didn't think it was happening because Yato actually cut them off on the other side. Look at Yato bought so much time on the TPs on the other side of the fight, but everyone's a little bit too disjointed on Cerberus' side. Look at how they played the team fight. It takes them way too long to actually get on top of slows, and this time the 2 TPs, even though they were delayed by Yato, are already here in the fight, and just now they killed slows, so it's way too late. And Nugu, full HP with the Baron buff, level 15 with a lot of items, just comes in and cleans up the fight. Really nicely done from MBE. Oh, and really just showing off their team fighting, looking much better than before. But what can they do with the Baron?
Yeah, extremely patient play coming out from Nogo as well, or the Nugu as well, as that's going to buy them a lot more space around the map. Again, the biggest thing for me is now, that is probably the 3rd time I've seen over the course of this game where Cerberus has been trying to kill off Tomrio and Zodiac and some of these players, and they just have run away, and there's no chasing power. That's Zodiac very nearly actually does get 1 shot on the course of everything else. Nugu pushes everybody underneath the tower, is going to get stunned up. Now Pun, Pun's got him dead to rights underneath this tower right here. That's going to be a big shutdown. Drakthar in the backline is going to get a lot too. His Pun is able to come in and clean up so much on the backside. And no, Box Esports, we were so ready for you to be able to take your first one.
Okay, it's fine, Durable, it's fine. It's only the Baron. Okay, they squandered the opportunity to get some objectives there, but nothing really happened. The gold is even. They're still on soul point. It's fine, just reset mentally. You still have another chance. You probably have 2 or 3 more fights in you in this game. It's not over yet. I do like their assertiveness and their aggressiveness in this game. They are actually going for it, especially Nugu. Look at him go! I mean, I do have to say, new Azir probably shouldn't go for these kind of plays too often because he's building DPS, but in this case, it did look good. Kind of backfired in the end when all their carries got exposed for over-chasing under tower, but once again, you can reset here, it's fine, your items are on equal terms, you're only 1k gold down, you're still looking at soul point. So, yeah, we could still see MBE win their first game. Don't question them too much for one little fight.
I like to say that would not be the case. If it were any other team, I would say, okay, they're still fine. They're still well within the bounds of this game. I still have my qualms about Vox Esports
I do agree
being
with
able
that.
to do something about it. That's the one problem. The biggest problem I have with it is it seemed like that was a disjoint call because you had two members that never really even entered that fight in Tomrio. Slows was also like 25% health. So while I do appreciate that Nugu was ready to pull the trigger on what was a solid Azir ultimate and Sunmoor was ready on the side, they just did not have enough members to make that warranted compared to anything else, especially when you're diving under a tower where you have to be very crystal clear about what the call is going to be. So again, not super pressed. They've got 30 seconds now to worry about it. Dragon control is a 100% theirs, so the soul very likely going to be theirs as well. Great rocket belt attempt from Pun. He's going to attempt to use the EMW and the ultimate to stun. That's a lot of damage. But Tomrio is going to be able to heal that up easily. Like you said, I think that's just soul and nothing to be done here from Cerberus' side. It's not the strongest in the world. It is just the Chemtech soul, but it is at least something to be able to hang your hat on for Vox Esports.
Yeah, unfortunately also not the champions really to want Hextech Soul on, I believe, because they don't really have the big bruiser that likes to fight from behind, like a Darius or an Olaf or something. They don't have a healing support either. I mean, Rakan technically heals a bit, but not really. So it's really not the most optimal soul in the world. All your champions are very squishy, all your carries, so you can't really rely on that damage buff later on, or like resistance buff as well when you get low. So really not the greatest soul, but it is the soul. It is the first step. I think the first soul MBE has ever gotten in the VCS, so that is already a big achievement.
It is. This game is certainly more competitive than we would have anticipated it being the first time when we walked into the series in the beginning. And I don't know whether it's a byproduct of like the addition of Huber and that on the team. I don't know whether it's like the what they're trying to do with the composition on the side of Cerberus. I don't know whether it's Cerberus just fumbling the bag pretty drastically. But Vox Esports has looked like a more complete team. But like the culmination of what we've been expecting from them, basically the entire split since we saw them in their first couple of weeks, we were like, okay, this team has a chance to improve, has a chance to get better. We're seeing it for the first time. For Cerberus, this isn't the most disgusting loss in the world if they do take it. You obviously don't want a loss by any standard. They're still very comfortably in second place. So, like, I don't know if that was another thing is they just got caught sleeping on their hands. They're probably going to lose Baron again. It's already down to half health. They're going to try to contest it. Pun would like to get over the wall. Okay, they're pulling off of it pretty quickly. Now they're going to turn. Big ult.
This is risky.
Everything. Going to get double knockup from the Nami, so that's 1-for-1 so far. The Draktar is going to try to chase down Sumner. And no entrance so far from Nugu to be able to put out damage as Tomrio is just kind of getting run at as everybody else. Yano is trapped. Nugu in the cage. He takes so much damage. And she gets stunned up at the last second, too. And that means Nugu is not going to be available. Sunmer's trying to get chased down by Draktar. They're looking for more on the back end of this one, but they could just turn for Baron now, as there is Tomrio still up, but they do have everybody still here for Cerberus, alongside healing from Huber, could keep them within range of taking this Baron.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see one of the things a lot of VCS teams do. Cerberus is one of the very few teams that is more disciplined. Oh, Tomrio might get in range to steal this
Baron,
one.
Please. Nope. Okay, thank you. Not going to have that. Not going to be in time, as Tomrio is going to be looking for something. Tagging to Artemis.
That was one hit, by the way.
That was something else. Team is very, very strong at this point. Okay, caught up in the box is
376
He actually gets disengaged a little bit. Slows versus Artemis. He gets the kill.
Double kill.
Now Slows gets another as well. A TP in from Pun is going to try to help salvage this situation. It is a couple members gone down. Sunmer now on the front line, but he's not going to be able to do anything. Is a couple kills on the back end. You will take that 2-for-1 here for Slows, as he was able to win the duel up against Artemis with that Bloodthirster. And the team walks away 2 Baron buffs, a little bit of gold, but ultimately Cerberus again taking a bit of a poison pill with that one.
And if you look at this again, there's no need for MB to turn this drastically into the choke point, into all these champions that love to play in choke points. Right? Veiga is maybe the best champ in the game in choke points, and what can Nugu do in this position? But even before that, you can just stay on Baron. You have such insane Baron speed with Azir and Zarya, and force them to commit into you, because Veiga, if he has to run at you, is much worse than if he can control spaces and he can control choke points, and you have to challenge him in his position. So I feel like MB made the incorrect call there, got a little too frisky, wanted to go for the fight, and it backfired pretty badly. It's still a very close game. They still have the soul, and it's probably going to come down to maybe even a smite fight. You could try to 50-50 here. Reasonably, if you're 0-16 in games, maybe a 50-50 is the best chance you ever get. So I wouldn't hate that. I do want to point out, though, the last time I saw Yado's stat line, he was sitting on 380 stacks. So this Viker is absolutely crazy.
He's also got Void done, which means that there's no magic resist in the world that is going to save his team, and will have Rabadon's done on only 1,100 more gold because he just freshly bought that second needlessly large rod. So we're getting to a point. I think it was in that last fight also, Yato had stepped up, hit slows with a single Q, and then ulted, and that was 75% of the health of slows with just 2 abilities on their own. So when Rabadon's is done, that's an instant execute, nothing else. They're also delivering stacks for Yato of these Qs. I saw jungle camps being kind of fed into Yato to make sure more AP continues to go into their Vygar, which makes a lot of sense. Just to try to get their one super hyper late game scaler into a very, very comfortable position. I'm liking that from Cerberus. They're doing things necessary to make the late game transition, this late game shift happen. I know it's still going to be difficult, but at minimum, I think Yato has had the most success of anybody on this team inside of team fights. So, although I say that, and Huber's sitting here with 13 assists on 15 kills right now.
Huber's actually quietly having a really good Nami game. He's always been a good Nami player, so it's really not Huber's fault that his team is almost struggling into MBE. But yeah, every time I've seen Yato on screen just last sitting and trying to stack, he has been super efficient. Like, he's been able to line up minions everywhere. He's now on 400 stacks. That means his W is on something like 1.5 second cooldown, and that scales with full AP. So he's sitting on 800 before the death cap comes in. So he probably shoots up to 1.3, 1.4k later. If that ever hits you, you are dead.
Okay. A very rare, I don't want Artemis taking minions argument here, because Yato, you would have loved to have him on Rabadon's at this point.
Very true.
Like, you would have loved to have Yato on Rabadon's for this fight, because Elder Dragon's coming up in 20 seconds. Mid lane prio is going over to Cerberus. You have to be a bit careful for Tomrio. You have to be a bit careful for Sunmer. Tomrio's not going to go jumping in, thankfully. It's closed off. Event Horizon is used very early. I was worried Sunmer was just going to be able to jump in on Drakthar or something like that, but they ended up not going for it at all. They're just going to run directly at Elder Dragon. Punny is behind them, clearing out wards. Don't get caught out here, Pun. That is an ultimate. That's an execute.
Again before Dragon.
Ooh.
Second time in a row that Pun just gets caught on the sides before the Dragon spawns. And this is Elder. This could be game. If they play their cards correctly, this is going to persist for more than 2 minutes. So just force the fight. You have really good engage tools. Just run it down mid lane, force the fight, and try to win the game. MBE has the best shot they've ever had at winning a game in VCS.
They do. 2.5 minutes now. They have to be sacrificed here from Cerberus. Although Artemis is running direct up mid lane. Gonna force a back from somebody. Okay, nobody's backed. It's Sunmer who's gonna be backing right now. I don't know that that's the person with the damage. Has a decent sized wave, just has to clear that. Okay, I was wondering if Artemis was gonna say, okay, let's base race. Let's do this. Why not? It's not going to happen. Instead, they're gonna try to just clear this away. The decent range from Vygar is gonna probably lose them. They're gonna lose the inhibitor. But I don't know that they can quite push in for the next play yet, especially without Sunmer being around. Sunmer has TP to join them if they want, but is not going to take it. I don't know, Box. I really want to see them continue to push this pressure, because it's going to take them about a minute to redeploy out on the map and get anywhere important. So it's just bot inhibitor for mid inhibitor if that's all they get with this Elder Dragon.
I think the best call here would just be to group 5 in mid and counter push mid lane, try to get another inhibitor there, and then transition after Elder Dragon onto the Baron, because that should line up in terms of timing pretty well, with bot lane super minions arriving there as well. So forcing Cerberus back into their own base. There is the big item completion, so this time around Yato is sitting on more than 1000 AP. If you ever get close to getting stunned, you probably just evaporate. Even Sunber is potentially in kill range, maybe not from one combo, but maybe from 2 combos. So yeah, this is just a super scary Viger to play against and to siege against, because of course he's a very good anti-siege champion with all his zone control, all his wave clear too. And it seems like MBE is abandoning their plan to use the Elder Dragon for another fight. They should be able to just get the Baron for free here, because it's too scary to fight into Elder, so at least they can get another objective, but they need to break the base.
They would like that a lot. They're going to head up to top side, and they're going to push this in. They've got one more wave, and then they've got 3 minutes of Baron to be able to push with, which is something to consider. But I don't know. It feels like Box is in uncharted territory, and they're so good in this game. They're like, okay, what do we do? Like, what are we doing to handle this circumstance? Just trying to figure themselves out at the moment before anything else. And they're doing an okay job of it. They're going to lose the Elder Dragon probably right as this tower goes down. It's a question of whether Cerberus is going to get baited into anything, because, again, the Elder Dragon's still available, so they're going to get pushed off. Maybe losing inhibitor. Drakthar is at a great flank angle.
Elder Dragon is gone.
Is not quite there yet either. That's an event horizon pop to try to get something. They still don't have a vision of anybody else.
Whoa!
Is going to be able to find one execution on the punt. Has so much damage. Artemis goes in. He's going to get dropped up by Zodiac. Now somewhere in the middle of the event horizon. That's one person down as a Guardian Angel gets.
Oh, the timing!
That's a great bubble. Going to get executed by Vigar immediately as Drakthar now is going to be able to frontline for this team. Event horizon is going to catch up Sumner. And now Sumner going to go down as well. Only squishy members remaining for the rest of the team. Can you find something?
Yo, Huber!
Up yet again. Huber's been insane in the event horizon. Again, locking up too, but Yato, I think, has the mana to actually deal with it. Now another wave coming in. Got to find a way to actually get mana back onto Yato, as that's going to be a tower broken. Bottom tower almost broken as well.
Next is open. Next is open.
They ran out of mana before anything else happened. Yo, now they're going to be attacking that.
Can they do it? Can they do it?
I don't think that they
will.
Gone. They're going to get a game. Box Esports takes a win in the face of 4 members.